informational note and a dash of discovery. Season of Discovery is vanilla WoW with a spicy twist. You're going to discover new secrets as you scour the world and find class-altering abilities. Have you ever wondered what it might be like to be a tanking Warlock? Or take on the role of a mage healer? In Season of Discovery, you can. The season is going to launch with an initial level cap of 25. And when you hit that max level, you'll be met with the brand new level 25 endgame. You'll discover a brand new 10-player Black Fathom Deeps raid with new and reimagined bosses, mechanics, and of course, rewards. Then, after a couple of months, we'll raise the level cap a bit. You'll find even more endgame content, and so it will go. For all of you watching online, don't worry. You won't have to wait long to play. Because we want you to discover all of the secrets together, there will be no public testing. WoW Classic Season of Discovery launches in a few short weeks on November 30th.
My name's Josh Greenfield, and I'm the senior game producer on WoW Classic. I'm here to talk to you today about our new season for Classic World of Warcraft, Season of Discovery. Today, I'm going to give you an introduction and an overview of what our season is at a very high level, as well as giving you an idea of what our major features are. Discoveries are essentially secrets hidden throughout the game world. They usually aren't quests in the traditional sense. There's nothing on your map to show them to you. This is Classic after all. And some may be as simple as a treasure coffer deep in a cobalt mine, but many are small events kind of unto themselves, oftentimes requiring more than one player, a little bit of creativity, or some keen observation skills to obtain. Social and information sharing aspect. For those first few weeks of each phase, we hope to find secret finding communities pop up, both in and out of game, as players scour Azeroth to find all these little hidden things. We can't wait to read general chat as players begin sharing what they found with each other in real time. We think that social and info sharing aspect is super exciting, and we can't wait to see how long it takes for all these little secrets to be found. In order to preserve this sense of discovery, we will not be holding a public beta or PTR for Season of Discovery. The idea here is that these things feel as like a natural part of Azeroth as it was at this point in WoW's history. Next, let's talk a little bit about level-banded content phases and what that means. In essence, level-banded content phases are how we're going to approach the level-up journey in Season of Discovery. When we initially launch, the level cap in Season of Discovery will be level 25. After a number of weeks, the level cap will increase to a higher level for the next phase. So, why a level cap of 25 to start with? Well, our inspiration for this actually came from the WoW Classic beta in 2019. There's a major goal of this level-banded approach to really give you a chance to get into it. One of the things we really consistently see on forums or social media too is it too late to start? And oftentimes we'll hear this literally within a day or two of a new release. We also plan to give a very sizable experience boost to the previous level band every time we raise the level cap. This is kind of similar to Joyous Journeys and Wrath Classic, if you're familiar with that. So the next thing we want to talk about is in-game at level cap. Since this is a version of original WoW, we wanted to start out grounded in familiar locations and put the focus for the new stuff on fresh gameplay and mechanics in those iconic dungeons and locales. To that end, our first raid in Season of Discovery will be the iconic dungeon, Black Fathom Deeps, reimagined as a 10-player raid instance. One of our main goals is to ensure that these are fully featured, deep, satisfying raids, and not simply the addition of a few mechanics to existing encounters as they were in 2004. All of these encounters are a full ground-up redesign and should feel like proper raid encounters. And of course, with new raids comes lots of new loot. In addition to raids, we also really want to play up that PvP aspect, and as a result, we're planning to add several outdoor PvP events to the game as the level caps increase. Thank you. Lastly, one of the things we're most excited about is where we go when we start getting to higher levels. We are leaving the door open to the possibility of completely new experiences and the prospects of exploring previously unfinished or unused locales for future raid and dungeon content. We're starting at level 60. I know, I'm excited too. Rune engraving is a new skill that all Season of Discovery characters know automatically on character creation. Rune engraving allows you to gather, learn, and apply new class abilities directly to your equipment, kind of like enchants. In the initial 1 through 25 experience, you'll be able to discover runes in your chest, legs, and glove slots, and as the level cap increases, additional runes for other item slots will be discoverable over time. Once learned, runes are permanent and can be applied and reapplied to your gear at will, just out of combat. These runes is that they exist completely outside of the talent system, meaning that you could very realistically splash in damage abilities with a healing talent spec so you could solo a little bit better, or you could swap maybe to tanking ability runes to round out the tank spot in your 5-player group if you're missing one. You may also encounter previously faction-specific paladin and shaman buffs as runes, which helps bring some parity to each faction without those classes losing their unique flavor or the factions losing their unique flavor. In order to also streamline the talent system to go along with runes, we do plan to adjust the respec cost to be much more nominal in Season of Discovery, particularly at low levels. Who knows, maybe, just maybe, someday, you won't be constrained to just one talent spec in Season of Discovery. Who knows? So, overall, we've been playing this a ton internally. We've been having so much fun with it. It's everything we love about Classic, plus so much more.
My name's Nora Valletta, and along with Anna, I'm a lead software engineer on WoW Classic. There are over 100 runes in the 1 to 25 leveling bracket across all classes. I have a few to share with you today. First things first, I want to share some of the things we had in mind when designing runes in Season of Discovery. One is to shake up the meta. Our seasonal content is a great opportunity to deliver WoW Classic, but with a twist. With our non-seasonal content, we try to deliver a classic experience close to the original, but with seasons, we have the freedom to experiment with what-if scenarios, such as, what if rogues could tank? What if paladins did have a taunt? Many of the runes you find are greatest hits remixes of popular abilities from various WoW expansions, so many of them will be familiar to you. That said, some of these familiar abilities may actually behave a little differently than you remember. Some spells and abilities you'll discover have never been introduced before in any WoW expansion. For these, we were careful to make sure they were an appropriate fit for class fantasy. Most importantly, we want Classic to continue to feel like Classic. Many of the iconic spells and abilities you've seen in various WoW expansions feel fitting for that expansion or fitting for modern WoW, but would feel out of place in Classic, so we tried to avoid introducing anything with a too modern feel and made adjustments wherever it made sense. Anyways, enough of that. Let's take a sneak peek at some of those abilities. Druids. In Season of Discovery, you have an interrupt called Skull Bash, which can be used in cat or bear form. Fury of Storm Rage removes the mana cost of Wrath. Dealing damage with Wrath has a chance to make your next healing touch instant. Wild Growth applies a heal over time effect to your target and up to 5 nearby party members. Hello, Hunters. Beast Mastery will increase your pet's damage, health, and focus regen. Growl is now a proper taunt. Explosive Shot is a ranged damage over time ability, and Lone Wolf gives you a damage boost if you have no active pet. Pair this with dual wielding, and you've got yourself a mean melee hunter. Mages. Ice Lance is an instant frost spell that deals triple damage to frozen targets. Living Flame causes flames to erupt and chase a nearby enemy, leaving a burning trail in its wake. And Regeneration is a heal, which marks your target with a temporal beacon. Another rune ability called Rewind Time will heal the damage taken over the previous 5 seconds. You can heal other people with this, by the way, not just yourself, so I hope you've made room on your roster for mage healers. Paladins. In WoW Classic, they don't have a taunt, but here it is in Season of Discovery. Hand of Reckoning is your taunt. Knowing this ability will also increase the threat bonus of Righteous Fury and cause you to gain mana when healed by other players. Crusader Strike is a weapon attack. It's a weapon attack which costs no additional mana and instead regenerates your mana slightly with each hit. And Seal of Martyrdom can be activated to cause melee attacks to strike other nearby targets. You'll lose health when inflicting damage with this. However, nearby party members will gain mana based on the damage you take. Priests. You can channel Penance to heal nearby friendly targets or deal damage to enemy targets. Prayer of Mending heals your target the next time they take damage or receive healing. Afterwards, it'll bounce to another friendly player nearby. Homunculi animates 3 miniature copies of your character, which will attack your target with a mace, a sword, and an axe, reducing their attack speed, attack power, and armor, respectively. Rogues. From Stealth, Shadow Strike allows you to teleport behind your target and strike for a nice big chunk of damage. Envenom is a finishing move. It deals poison damage based on your deadly poison doses on the target, and also increases the frequency of applying instant poison for some time afterwards. Just a Flesh Wound is our rogue tank ability. You generate way more threat, you take reduced physical damage while Blade Dance is active, you're less likely to be critically hit by melee attacks, and your Feint ability turns into a taunt called Tease. Shamans. Lava Lash deals offhand weapon damage. Offhand. In Season of Discovery, Enhancement Shamans can dual wield with the help of another rune not pictured here. Happy hunting. Healing Rain is a gradual AoE heal which can be placed on the ground, or on a lamppost, or on the ceiling. Way of Earth allows you to perform the coveted role of Shaman Tank. With this, you'll deal increased threat, you'll take less damage, and Earthshock becomes your taunt. Warlocks. Haunt deals damage, increases all shadow damage you deal to the target, and heals you for the damage it dealt once it's dispelled or expires. Chaos Bolt sends a big beefy bolt of fire at the enemy. It always hits, it can't be resisted, and it causes all of your fire spells to pierce through absorption effects. And Metamorphosis. This is your shapeshift, allowing you to transform into a demon, similar to a druid's bear form, increasing your armor and reducing your chance to be critically hit. Searing Pain becomes instant, Shadow Bolt becomes a melee cleave, and Curse of Recklessness is your taunt. Warriors. Victory Rush is a weapon attack that can be used after killing an enemy. It will heal you for a certain percentage of your health. Devastate will cause your Sunder armor to deal main hand weapon damage, increased for each stack of Sunder armor already on the target. And Raging Blow is a vicious strike that deals heavy damage, but can only be used while enraged. Now this is just a taste of all the abilities coming to classes in Season of Discovery. And really, bottom line, we want everyone to feel OP. Let's instead turn our attention to the ancient forest of Ashenvale in northern Kalimdor. Ashenvale is known for its beauty, its rich natural resources, and its role as a hotly contested territory between the Horde and the Alliance. In Season of Discovery, earning kills while in Ashenvale will trigger a zone-wide PvP event. During this event, a leader will appear in the zone for each faction, a Farseer for the Horde, and a Priestess of the Moon for the Alliance. Your objective is simple. It's to defeat the enemy leader. Now this is easier said than done. These leaders are tough, so you'll have to work together to take them out. In addition to the main camps where those faction leaders reside, various other camps will spawn across the zone for each faction. The Priestess of the Moon and the Farseer are each buffed by respective leaders in those smaller camps. The more of those small camps you can take out, the weaker your enemy's faction leader will become. Sounds familiar. It's much like Alterac Valley. This event is an awesome way to earn honor, as well as reputation with Warsong Gulch factions, which allows you to unlock some of the best level 25 gear in the game. You'll also be able to earn a mount, which you can actually use at level 25, but only in Ashenvale. It will increase your speed by 50%, giving you the extra boost you need to seek and destroy the enemy. So, come kick some ash in Ashenvale. I'll see you there.
My name is Tim Jones, and I'm the assistant lead designer on World of Warcraft Classic. Woo! And Season of Discovery aims to deliver on providing new group content that's both challenging and rewarding of Blackfathom Deeps. Now, on the Classic team, we couldn't help but ask ourselves, could this amazing location be more than just a 5-player dungeon? So we're excited. Get your level 25 prebis, equip your runes, find 9 of your best friends, and get ready. The Classic team is proud to announce Level Up Raids. New instance challenges for raid groups to experience the max level for each of Season of Discovery's content bands. You know, at level 25, Blackfathom Deeps is the first level up raid that you'll experience in Season of Discovery. You know, groups should be easy to form. Grab a couple tanks and healers, make a party of 10, you're good to go. God knows, everyone and their mom can tank and heal in Season of Discovery now, so that shouldn't be a problem. And content phases in Season of Discovery won't be as long as traditional Classic expansion patches either. And we want you to have as many opportunities to explore and plunder the riches within, and as such, Blackfathom will offer a 3-day lockout, much like the raid Zul'Gurub. You know, the story's the same. The location and creatures may be familiar to some, but the challenges and rewards are brand new. 7 new bosses are here to both entertain and test your skills. And how could we not make raid content without new loot? Existing quests and rewards have also been updated for the raid as well. And you'll even be able to find secrets within the raid. Can you solve the mystery of the Twilight Artisan? Can you find the recipes for Blackfathom sharpening stones and wizard oil? And will you be the first group to access the new world buff, Boon of Blackfathom? Ooh. Okay. I love your guys' enthusiasm. This is amazing. Baron Aquinas, he guards the entrance. No longer a simple quest NPC. You must challenge his elemental lieutenants that inhabit the Fathom Stones and defeat him. And in doing so, you may face off against Aquinas himself atop the infamous jumping puzzle. You know, and jump you must to get in range of the Baron, but beware both the boss and your teammates, because there are many a peril that may knock you off. In all honesty, this boss is lightly tuned, and there are some hidden power-ups below the water to help you return to the platform. Next off, you must face against Gamura, the fearsome turtle that's been swimming in the enchanted waters of the deeps for a long, long time. You know, exposure to these energies has granted her both power and size, but most importantly, she's now protected by a magical barrier that protects her against almost any attack. Break through this barrier and start blasting for massive damage. Get your orange parse. You know, all this commotion will bring you to the attention of Lady Saraves, a powerful and reckless Naga sea witch who commands a legion of Blackfathom elite in Myrmidons. She is a formidable foe that will overwhelm you unless you find a way to turn her own spells against her and her minions. You know, these 3 bosses round out the prologue of Blackfathom Deeps, and in all 3 are available to fight in our demo in Hall D. Check it out. And that's not it. Witness the corruption of Gelihast and take on the march of the Void Murlocs. Break past Lorgus Jet's magical barriers and corrupted totems. Conquer your dreams as you challenge Twilight Lord Kelris. And good luck against the giant Void Hydra. Seriously, you're going to need it. And not to forget, there will be glittering prizes awaiting you, including some of these fancy items. Now, telling you all this is great, but I think we'd rather just show you. So it is my pleasure to provide a quick sneak peek video of the raid, edited by the team itself, as though it was pulled straight from a community website in 2005. Please take a look. Well, that's it for today, guys. We're looking forward to. Oh, okay. That shouldn't be here. Okay. That should definitely. Okay. Sorry. We should have. Okay. Oops. That's it for today. And for those of you here at Blizzcon, we hope you get to take on the first 3 bosses of our Black Fathom Deeps raid on the show floor. And for everyone else, we're so excited for you to experience it when Season of Discovery launches worldwide in just a few short weeks on November 30th.
In general, we got together as a team. There was lots of brainstorming. There was lots of like, what should this system look like? How do we want players to interact with these abilities, these class-changing abilities, right? Do we want them to be like hot swappable, like you can just change them at any time, learn them like a book of spells, you know what I mean? Like, or do we want them to be like on use, it's used up or something like that? And we went basically the spells route, right? So you can at any time swap your abilities out, come up with some interesting builds. We decided to add quite a few runes, you know, like 12 runes per class in the...
It started out with way more too before we kind of trimmed down.
Yeah.
Is it 12 per class period, or is it going to be more?
Just in the 1 to 25.
Okay. So like what I saw in my Warlock, for example, those are my runes.
Yeah.
For now.
So in the example of like my Metamorphosis rune was in my glove slot, is that always going to be the glove slot? Or can you put the rune in your pants slot? Or
that will go.
It'll be the glove slot, okay.
I mean, unless some like rebalance happens at some point, which we would try really hard to avoid that. Yeah. So the plan is for that to be done. To kind of build on that, like a little bit of deep lore for sort of the season is we have been talking about sort of the general idea of this season since literally WoW Classic Beta, the 2019.
That's crazy.
Like I remember being in a room with folks and we had like we're watching on. It was before the pandemic and we're together in the classic pit, you know, the bull pit or whatever. And we had it on TV. We're watching like I think it was a dueling thing that S-Fan was doing and his guild or whatever, and it was so fun to watch them just pull all the stops out and just wacky combinations of items and talents at level 30 or whatever. And it was just so fun to watch, and we really loved that. And so when we kind of started working backwards from that idea, it was after Season of Mastery came out, we're like, what would we want to do next? We knew we wanted to do something a lot deeper than Season of Mastery, and when we started kind of working backwards from that idea, it was like, well, it would be really cool to have these level breaks, but what are you going to do during that? And one of the things is like, what if like there was like kind of like almost Easter egg hunts like kind of thing where, and at the time the idea was actually like, hey, why don't we just make these like new class abilities and stuff item set bonuses or something? And it's like, well, that's cool, but it's like, what if they don't drop? Like, what if, you know, there's a lot of things with that, like that kind of gatekeep some of the coolest stuff that you'd want to do behind like, you got to get lucky or you got to spend a bunch of gold or whatever. And so that's like, well, why don't we just have the runes be something that's discoverable, like as those discoveries? And so that's kind of like the genesis of it, but it's almost something we've been talking about for so many years now. It's sort of evolved that, once we actually started working on it, we had a pretty good idea of kind of think what we wanted to do, and we just kind of barreled forward.
Yeah.
And the thing I said in the panel, being excited for players to venture forth and discover them on their own, like, I mean that because some of them are actually quite funny.
Yeah.
Like,
Are they gonna be harder to find? Or is it, like, can you give an example of what it's like finding? Like, is it like you went to a Gold Shower Inn and there's like a box and it's there or something?
Some of them are that simple. Good,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
Well, someone else asked us, like, are these all just like quests or something, or newly added? And I was like, maybe some of them are newly added quests that weren't there before in the game. However, most of them are things like, I've discovered this object in the world, let me interact with it. Oh, it tells me some kind of story, and it gives me hints of where to go, maybe look for the next clue, right?
Oh,
so
that's dope.
So it's actually quite almost, because we went into it knowing this was all going to be data mined eventually, right? And players were going to solve these and probably make an add-on for it or something. But we also realized that, like, even if data mining occurred, like, if players don't go and venture out and, like, actually solve the riddles, they're probably not going to piece it together just by looking at the game files alone.
Is it like random? Like, if using a metaglyph, is that metaglyph found or meta rune found everywhere in the world that one way, or is it? Yeah, of course. Right. You know I am, because that's just a simple example.
That's actually good. I'll go ahead and say that rune in particular is one that there's lots of categories of how they're discoverable, and that particular one is one that is part of kind of a chain. It's like, because that's really iconic. That discovery isn't going to be going and looting a chest. There's a lot to that. It might span multiple zones. There's a lot to it.
That's good.
And it's going to be a minute.
So the good runes, you make them work for it.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
I
good.
mean, good is subjective, right? But like the ones that are like impressive, like visually impressive or really iconic, like those are the things that you might have to work for. But it's different. Some are chests. Some are you find an NPC, you speak to them, and they may have a special interaction, and they have you do a thing. Like some of them are traditional quests. It's very varied, and there's hundreds and hundreds of them in the 1 through 25 because there's so many different starting zones that we had to duplicate the runes, but we didn't necessarily duplicate the discovery method. Yeah. So some zones have their own flavorful discovery methods that are flavorful to that zone and classes in that zone.
So you can't earn the same rune by doing different things.
You can.
Is it like you get the rune in your bag, use it, and now it's a rune?
Yes. Yep, you've earned it. Yeah.
I don't know why it'd matter. They're not. You can't trade them or nothing, right?
They're solo.
So I'm only going to find a Warlock one. So I can't go find a Mage one, right? Okay.
And some of the discoveries do have a cross class element. Like, I don't think it's too spoilery to say, but like there's maybe one rune where you find a dead character and you have to do like a ritual to like send their soul to the Shadowlands, right?
Better be a Warlock one, right?
You need 2 healers for that, right? But like either healer could get their own class rune.
That's neat. Well, that's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun, just like little Easter eggs running around trying to get them.
Exactly. There's a lot of stuff like that.
And it gives you like excuses to interact with other people too.
Yeah, totally. And you're gonna see a lot of people shouting. It's like, hey, I found this thing. I don't know what to do. Does anybody know? And it's like, oh, I know. It's like, oh, I need a buddy for that. Can you come and help me with it? And like that's the intent. Anyway, that's what we hope.
That's the exciting part is that people are saying like if it's capped at 25, that's gonna take. Is it like you didn't change? Are you changing the experience gain from 1 to 20? It's just whatever it is right now.
Yeah, it's what it is.
So that's like super fast. And I'm like, yeah, but now you can go run around everywhere and find all your runes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And the way we kind of built it too is like we talked in the panel about there's like a tutorial rune, right? Honestly, if you find nothing but that tutorial rune until you hit 25, you're still going to be kind of pumping. Like the first paladin rune I showed was Crusader.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, that alone, like, huge change to the paladin level.
Yeah.
And if you found nothing else until you hit 25, you'd be jamming.
Yeah.
And most other classes are like that.
The crowd cheered so loud when I said Crusader Strike. I knew they'd cheer, but I didn't expect that.
And then the first was the taunt right into it. It was like the paladins were going crazy.
Yeah, I was so startled. Yeah.
Exactly.
Fair.
I mean, some of them are pretty, they're on the critical path, and some of them are a little off the beaten path.
Okay, about the demo tanking, was your thought like, can you main tank as a demo? Or is it supposed to be on par with like a warrior tank, paladin tank, feral druid, or is it more like off tank you're helping? I've noticed I'm holding threat easily, but like I don't, in gear.
It should be able to contend with other tanks.
So it's a tank. It's like this is gonna be a main tank.
I think if you've noticed playing the demo enough too, like you play a horde. if you're trying to shaman tank Baron Aquinas, you might have a bad time. You're not going to have enough mana, right? Because shamans, they get a lot of their mana regen from blocking, right? So, you got a heavy physical fight, they're your guy. But for something like Baron Aquinas, you can hit him from range with Searing Pain, and you're good, you're chilling.
Yeah.
Even if you get knocked out, you're still going to hold aggro. So that's one of the things that we thought was cool, like still letting them keep some unique flavor, but they're still, and that's how Classic is, right? Like, a warrior is good for something, a bear is good for something else. A bear can really pump threat with like an MCP, manual crowd pummeler, and like a warrior is just really good at just massive sustain threat over time, or massive brick tanking if you really need to like soak those unbalancing strikes and stuff like that, right? So
I like that. Are you guys? A lot of people are questioning it. Are you guys worried or thinking about level 60, the raids at 60 with the runes? With the raids already being like really, really easy without the system, and now that's going to make everybody like more powerful. Is there like a buff to them or something?
One thing we are doing, like to the open world in general, even is we're increasing the damage output of mobs such that like at least you should feel threatened. You shouldn't be able to pull an entire zone in Classic and be able to just tank that. And so like, and we also thought about like, we initially talked about like, well, should we increase everything's HP as well? And I was like, well, we also don't want stuff to be like you're just sitting there.
You want it to be more punishing rather than like just beating your head.
Yep.
And that's
I like that.
That's really the thing about vanilla too, is that it's like it's not necessarily that stuff has a ton of health. It's just that things hit you hard, and if you pull too many, you're gonna die. And that's we know that from hardcore. We know that for what I mean. Like so that was really the focus. Is like, well, let's just make things more deadly, so that you're still, if you're blasting, you're blasting. But if you pull 5 things, you're just gonna die. No getting around.
Do you plan to change anything about the 60 raids, like mechanically wise or anything, or it's like MC?
It's honestly kind of too soon to say. I think it would be pretty surprising if we didn't make some adjustments, but it's just too soon to say specifics.
Yeah, that's fair. So what's the if you could even say that, like it's 25 and then it's going to be like 35 or 40? Is it gonna, or you're going to do a couple before 60 eyes take it, right?
So I think
we're being coy. We're being
Yeah.
coy a little bit about what the next
That's fair.
next level band is and what the next raid is and everything.
But you said it'd be a month, right?
No, it will be some number of weeks. We're trying to be unspecific about that. It's
Okay.
probably more than a month, less than 3 or 4 months.
That's
It'll
good.
be enough time for you to dig in. Make sure you can find all the runes. Make sure you can do the raid. Get your best in slot from the raid if you want to get it. There's some discoveries that take you into the raid and things like that. Make sure that you have the ability to do all that.
I'm more worried if it's a couple months, unless you add more to it. If it's just BFD, right? It's going to be BFD. There's the one raid in that one bracket.
there's bracket right
Yeah,
now.
okay.
Go ahead.
There's something too, like if we too far in advance, if we decide hard dates on things and just say, okay, this is going to be out for this long, we really run the risk of too short or too long, right? And so we're trying to be really flexible, especially with given our team size, we can pivot relatively quickly. And so that's why we're always like ear to the ground, trying to figure out like, okay, like what feels good.
Okay, last raid question. Are they all going to be 10-man during these brackets?
Not sure yet, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the cool things about kind of the power of creating content. Wow, actually, we've got very robust tools that we've built up over decades, right? And it's not terribly difficult to kind of turn the knob and say like, oh, yeah, let's start working on this as a 10 player. It's like, you know what, this would feel better as 20. Let's just crank some numbers up, and it works. So obviously some mechanical changes and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say. I think the thing we're a little concerned about too is the nature of Season of Discovery too is that you may level to 25, find all the runes, level an altar too, and maybe you want to just kind of take a break for a week or two. Like we don't want to shackle you to the game. Approachability and respecting your time is a big goal here. So we don't also want to get in a situation where it's like, well, you need 40 people, and if 5 people decide they want to take a break, your raid is in trouble, right? So that was part of the reason for like during the level up process, smaller raid sizes kind of made sense for that.
Are the battlegrounds in at the first phase?
Yes.
Warsong Gulch will be.
Yeah. Are you going to do like the same thing, where it'll be like all level 25 one only, or like how's the brackets going to work with it? Just the normal way?
Yeah, it'll be the normal way
Okay.
for the most part. PvP's honor system's on. People won't be able to grind out rank 14 because we're still scaling based on your level, how much honor rewards you can actually earn, right? So
That's cool.
You won't be able to get past a certain point.
yeah.
There's really good, like I think we mentioned this in the panel, that the Ashenvale PvP event gives Warsong Gulch rep for Horde Alliance, right?
Yeah.
And there's some pretty spicy rewards there. I don't know if you noticed what like on the VOD and stuff, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
But those mount models, those are the original Unarmored mount models.
Yeah, that's
So
a brilliant
Night Elf
idea.
and
That
Horde.
Ashenvale is a brilliant idea.
And so you're going to get those from Warsong Gulch rep now.
That's
so very cool. And obviously they're only usable in Ashenvale, but they're very, very enticing rewards for that. So we're hoping PvP takes off really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.